Hello, I'm Vince with Fitting and Adventure. This is my wife Angela. We travel full-time in our RV with our 2 rescue dogs. This last week we spent a week at the Gulf Beach RV Resort in Biloxi, which was amazing. One thing that's nearby in Mobile is the USS Alabama, which was a World War II battleship, which was amazing. I went by myself because when it comes to the military stuff, I love her, but she doesn't hold the enthusiasm that I do.
Especially the
with
ships
it.
that are hot,
Yes.
because it was a hot, humid day.
Yes.
And this has been on your list for a long time.
It
We've
has
never
been.
been in the area close enough to really
It has been.
take advantage of it. And so I was just like, you go have fun.
I spent, I think, 3.5 hours on the ship alone before I even
Yeah.
went and seen the other stuff that's there. They have a submarine, they have planes, and all that. But I enjoyed it, and it was
I
it was
enjoyed
worth it.
my morning too.
So
And then we kind of use this area as a base camp too. There's obviously a lot to do in Biloxi too, but we use it as a base camp for things that we've been wanting to do for a while and never really been stopped there for long enough to do. So we also went over to the Stennis Space Center.
if you followed our channel for any amount of time, you know when it comes to space and space centers and space
Yes.
museums, if we can go, we're gonna go.
Yes, and there's at least one thing in every one of them
Yes.
that makes it worthwhile. And this was no different. It would probably be my least favorite of the space centers
Yes.
we've been to be honest, because it was very small.
It was a lot more
But-
restricted because it's the largest rocket engine test center
Yeah.
in the United States. So when you're testing rocket engines, you can imagine you have to
Yeah.
limit the amount of places people can go. But it was still interesting. It was just the smallest one.
Yeah, it was small. The museum part of it was small too. A lot of it was dedicated to hurricane information and how the
Yes.
tracking happens and everything, which was interesting. It just wasn't the space that I was really looking for, but it was definitely worth the morning that we spent there, and it was a good time there as well. And then in Biloxi, we went to the Maritime and Seafood Industry Museum, which was a smaller museum too.
Yes.
But I think it 3 floors.
3 floors.
Small floors, but it was interesting. Just the culture there that surrounds the maritime industry and everything, and some of the older equipment that they use, some of the older boats that they use, and
Yeah, the shrimping industry and all the different types of boats. They had one room dedicated to, I don't know, it was probably 50 or 60 different types of boats
Yeah.
that were used throughout the years in the shrimping industry and all that can get up into the shallow water. And if you're really into fishing, you're really into the maritime issue like that, it's worth a visit.
yeah, and the shrimp peeling machine. I would have never guessed
Yeah.
little tiny shrimp to peel them. I mean, I know on a big scale, but that thing was huge.
Yes, it was huge.
And I mean, it was just like, I guess they just bounce around in there till they're peeled, kind of like when you shake up garlic in the jar to
Yeah.
peel it. I don't know. But it was interesting. They also had the king and queen of the shrimp
Yes.
king and queen outfits in there, which were very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was interesting as well. And then just as you're driving along the highway there and the coast, you'll see, if you're paying attention, you can see the remnants of where Katrina hit.
Yes.
And Katrina was what, in 98?
No, Katrina, I believe, was 2005.
But you can still see the remnants, and that down in the south, the live oaks are such a big part of the
Yes.
culture, and the gatherings around them and everything have been for the centuries, I believe.
Yeah.
Because there's some of these oaks that are centuries old and everything, and a lot of those along that coast got taken out with Katrina and how hard this area was hit. And instead of just removing the stumps, one artist went in and carved the stumps into different maritime type things.
Yeah, like there's
and,
a sailfish, a shark,
dolphins, a pelican,
pelican, other shorebirds.
to make them beautiful pieces of art, but still kind of with that reminder of what the sea and Mother Nature can do to you when you live on the coast. But they're definitely beautiful, and obviously, since it has been more time than we'd like to talk about, they are starting to see the weather of being on the coast as well. So it's kind of one of
And
those
other
things. Get out and see
hurricanes that
them.
have come and hit the coast are starting to take those out because they're already they're obviously dead trees.
Yeah.
So.
And when we drove down them and went to the Katrina Memorial where they had the poll of how high the water got.
Yeah. It was.
And wow. I mean, we all know Katrina was one of the worst storms, but you hear so much about what happened in New Orleans. You forget that it was, we're not too far from New Orleans and Biloxi, but you forget that whole area was hit so hard too. And it was very high waters and a lot of destruction there too. No. Then along that same path, you'll come across the Biloxi Lighthouse, which is a smaller lighthouse than what most of them that we've been to are, but it's just kind of in the median there, so you'll just kind of see it and move on. And
I didn't even get to go up in this one. I like climbing up into them, but
I know. And there was something space related as well, so we had to stop and see that. They had a statue there of
Fred Hayes, who is a native of Biloxi. So I don't remember. I believe he was one of the ones on Apollo 13, and then he was supposed to go back on 16. Was it?
I think so.
But unfortunately, they canceled the Apollo program before he got to go up, so he never got to step foot on the moon.
And the Stennis obviously had a large display for him as well, since it's local. And then for the food that we did.
Oh, there was some good food.
We didn't really hit the seafood thing. Vince isn't a big seafood
guy
anyways. And I'm really I like snapper, and I like the expensive snapper grouper. Those size.
You take me back to that restaurant in Pensacola. I like the grouper there, but I'm just
Bag leg Pete's.
That's it.
Best grouper north of B.O.'s Fish Wagon in Key West. But we did find some interesting donuts called Tato Nuts in Ocean Springs, and they're made out of potatoes, actually. And they were good.
They were really good.
They were really lighter than you think of a donut made of potatoes. You think it's going to be like kind of a heavier, like potato rolls are kind of heavier. But this was so light and fluffy. Incredible.
And there was no taste difference between that and a regular donut. At least I
think they were
notice.
Lighter.
But I mean taste. I mean, it wasn't like, you didn't feel like I'm eating a potato instead of I'm eating a donut. There was no.
I don't feel like they were as sugary though.
Probably not because of the potatoes, but you didn't notice any difference in taste.
And then, of course, we found a little hole-in-the-wall sandwich place called La Bakery, which is a Vietnamese sandwich place. And there's no dining inside, so you just kind of pick it up. It's a hole in the wall, and you kind of pick it up and go. And I had the chicken curry and made the right choice. Yours was good, but
I just had the marinated chicken. But I looking back, if we go back, I'm getting the chicken curry.
And and that's another thing is actually we've been keeping a list, and and because I keep everything in our Google Maps, and I just pin as if we're out talking to somebody later tonight and they tell us about something in Maryland, I'm going to pin it on my Google map so that we can, when we're in the area, hit it. And I think a lot of people are kind of starting to do that as well. But we keep another list on Google, and we're going to make that public now because I don't know why we didn't make it public anyways. But it's our return to regularly favorites list. Yeah. And this is a highly cultivated list. It's not just like, oh, that was good. If we were ever in the area, we'd do it. This is like, we're within an hour of such and such location. We should drive, or maybe even 2 or 3 hours. We should drive extra to go get this food again because it was that good. And I think there's like 30 places on it so far. And I mean,
and that's after hitting 30 states last year.
Yeah.
And we've been having 25 states last year. And we've had this list for years. So that's how coveted a spot on this list is to us.
So every time we eat somewhere, we're like, I don't know, do you think it got it or not? And so these are, it's not going to be like Michelin rated or anything. No. These are going to be like the La Bakery, where it's like, and La Bakery did make it, but where it's like, this was just good. It doesn't matter that it's not a white linen tablecloth. It was just good. Yeah. The laundromat in Key West is on there, as is the
B.O.'s Fish Wagon. I believe,
B.O.'s Fish Wagon is on there, and the Cuban place El 70 is on there in Key West. But that's the only ones on Key West on there. You'll notice I did not say some of the most famous restaurants in Key West because they're good, but they're not that extra special place.
And they're not us. I mean,
So we're going to make that public, and I'll go ahead and link the link below if you're interested in looking for really great food, especially if you're going to New Orleans. It will really pack the pounds on you,
Yeah.
though, but it's worth it. And then after La Bakery, the next day we went over, because we were so close, we went over to Jimmy Buffett's childhood home, because you had to.
Yeah,
Had
I mean,
to
you
go.
can't be that close to Pascagoula and not go to the, what did you call it, the Graceland of the Gulf.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to go there. I mean,
Yep.
and it was really cool. I don't know. I mean, it's like I don't know what I was expecting, but it was cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and there's
it
a
was-
little plaque there. The city or somebody has bought it,
Yeah.
and kind of you don't go into the home, but you just
Yeah.
outside. But we went ahead and made the drive over. I think it was like 30 or 40 minutes each
Yeah,
way.
it wasn't too
We
far.
made the drive over because I had marked on that map a place. One thing I've learned too is if you're ever watching a Jimmy Buffett interview and he mentions in the slightest little comment any food along the Gulf, you
Yes.
want to write it down and go. Because this is the second one that we've done. The first one is Alabama Jack's in North Key Largo, and it is on the list as well. And the man knows his Gulf Coast food.
Yes,
And he had mentioned this Bozo's in
Pascagoula.
Pascagoula. And Bozo's was another sandwich place, and we had to eat in the car because we'd taken the dogs. But wow. Wow, it
Really
was good.
That was really good.
It was not easy to eat in the car
No.
because it's a really full po' boy sandwich that just was a little hard, but it was very, very good. So that will be on the list too. And of course, anytime you're in the Biloxi, that whole beach is right there. There's
Yeah.
all kinds of things to do along there, and places to stop, and other restaurants to eat at. I know Shaggy's is a popular one, and there's,
And
jet ski rentals and
Yes.
things like that.
And Biloxi is also the home to not only the most expensive Waffle House, but the busiest Waffle House too. So,
And where we stayed at Gulf Beach RV Resort, there was because there's so many Waffle Houses along there. There's one just outside the RV park.
yeah,
So if you aren't wanting to fix breakfast that morning, you can just walk over to Waffle House. I think they offer discounts for the people in
yes.
the RV
If you're
park.
staying in the RV park, there was a discount for you.
And this RV park was right. When you're in Biloxi, the beach is here, the road is here, and then there's things here. It was right here. So you just had to walk across the road to get to the beach, which was very nice too, because you're just right there. And they have the nice pool there that you can overlook. They had a very nice deck set up there too with the pool to where you could watch the sunset there. And these spaces were nice as well, very well kept up. The hookups and everything, sometimes you pull in and hookups aren't great. These have all been very well kept up too.
Yes.
So it's just been very, very nice. And it was a nice quiet park too. It's kind of separated in two because it looks like they might have annexed some extra area, but just nice.
Yeah.
So, and that was the end actually of our Gulf Coast journey along the way. We have another couple stops before we hit the diamond mines in Arkansas, and Gracie is really getting anxious for her little diamond collar that she wants. So hopefully we find some diamonds in Arkansas. I think they usually find like on average 2 a day. So Gracie wants a whole collar. I don't know what that's going to mean.
I don't know if we have enough days.
I don't know either. But we hope you join the journey with us here on YouTube. Don't forget like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And we hope to see you on the road.